climate change is maybe like a sickness for the world, and at the moment we're trying to focus on treating some of the cause of that sickness.
Eventually, if they fill up and you have to have new landfills and then find someone's backyard to put a landfill in, no one wants that.
Kia ora e wha koutou, haere mai ki te kōrero, te ara whānui ki te rangi, ko Oscar toko ingoa, mihi nā tangata whenua o Aotearoa, I Tihe Māori ora. I'm here with Miriam and Melanie from Lower and Upper Hutt respectively. Kia ora e wha kōrua.
Kia ora.
Thanks so
Good to
much
be
for your
here.
time today.
Thanks for having us.
It's exciting to be here.
There's a lot that we can chat about. So I guess, should we start at the beginning? How did you guys get into climate mahi?
Ooh, I guess it found me actually.
Okay.
I spent a lot of my early years after high school traveling and seeing a bit of the world, and everywhere I went, I found places that were beautiful and awe-inspiring and amazing people, but also it made me appreciate what we have here in New Zealand and the beauty that is here. And so when I came back from one of my many trips, I decided that it was time to pick a career. And so, yeah, that's why climate change kind of stood out for me as, you know, an opportunity to learn more about our beautiful country and also kind of what makes it the thing that it is today.
Kia ora. I fully relate to that journey and that story of becoming more of an ambassador to your own country by travelling further afield and seeing what else is and what other beautiful things are out there and how we can be grateful for the corners that we've got here. Absolutely. That was a big part of how I entered Climate Mahi too. What about you?
Also very similar, actually.
Excellent.
I spent a bit of time overseas, and then I was very obsessed with travelling for a while, and I became a tour guide, and I was a tour guide around the country for a few years.
Around New Zealand?
Yeah,
Aotearoa.
around Aotearoa for a few years. And over that time, I was just, I guess same as you, like through travelling and seeing beautiful places and getting really connected to places, and through travelling different countries and seeing different political environments and things, getting increasingly obsessed with the environment. And I started sending regular emails to the office saying, here's what you need to do to be more sustainable to the travel company, and started carrying around a 4-bin system on the bus.
Yes,
and
on the bus?
carried around a veggie garden for a while on the bus. I was just going deeper down that
I'm
kind of
completely
hole.
obsessed. How did you do that?
It's very hard doing it like when you're on the ferry and you have to, because we'd swap buses between the North Island and the South Island, so I have to carry my 4-bin system onto the ferry.
4-bin system, commuter, climate conscious mahi. That is amazing.
And eventually I wanted to stop living out of a bag, and so I went and studied environmental studies at Vic in Wellington. And here a few years on from that, not so much travelling now after doing a lot of study on air travel emissions, so it was very awesome at the time, and a bit more thought goes into it now if there's any travel.
Excellent. I mean, I hear the air emissions part of travel. I always try and offset the emissions where possible, because it's such a complex part of the puzzle for sure. How to be aware of it and how to get the trips in. It sounds like travel's been super important for all of us. Where did you guys go? I feel like we have to go there.
I spent quite a bit of time in Southeast Asia, travelling kind of all around there. Bali, a little bit of time in India.
True.
Canada, a little bit of the UK, and Germany. I did an exchange there when I was 16.
Wow.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. So
that's amazing. I feel like those are distinct parts of the world, you know, they each operate under their own rules, under their own history, under their own climates. I think that's fascinating, under their own cultures.
It was actually quite fascinating, for example, even talking about recycling, the differences in recycling and waste management systems in, for example, Canada versus
India.
Or Southeast Asia, where there maybe isn't those systems available. And then living in Germany, where the bottles are have a a value, and you would, if you had a drink, you would take it to a machine and you get money back for it.
And their recycling is really
If,
proactive.
if there was someone, maybe occasionally there would be like a homeless person on the street or someone who was begging, and you could leave your bottle there for them to then get
Like,
money
get a
if you
passive
didn't.
income like
So
that.
like there was value in our objects that in other countries there was no value at all, which was really interesting to see those different systems. So.
That's fascinating. I think all of those, like, one of the best things about traveling is that it gives you perspective on how humans solve the same problems differently. I think that's really interesting. What about you, Melanie?
And a lot of inspiration
Yeah,
as well, on how to do things differently.
Absolutely.
What question?
Which traveling trips have you been on, or countries you'd recommend?
Oh yeah, I lived in the UK and Europe for a couple of years. Really loved Eastern Europe. Traveling around Eastern Europe is so beautiful, and you meet a lot more people as well because it's less touristy, I guess. So it's easier to meet people, locals and other travelers, and a lot cheaper as well. And also really love Nepal.
It's a special part of the world.
Cool.
Yeah, and South America as well. There's a lot of amazing places out there, and
That's
I guess
so
to
true.
Bring it back to the emissions and the offsetting that you mentioned as well. I think in the work that I've done around air travel emissions and the study and stuff, there's some really high flyers who will travel internationally multiple times a year and sort of tick things off. And it's the more you travel, I guess maybe the less you get out of it. And if you're doing a few kind of trip of the lifetime kind of things, then that's less of the place to feel guilty about or things like that. It's like
It's a
the
smaller
top
piece of the
10%
pie.
of travellers that are the ones that we should be focusing on, I guess, in terms of reducing air travel emissions.
The ones with the jets and the
The ones with the jets, yeah.
Yes.
I have to be careful not to roast my brother too hard about the travel emissions because his travel schedule is whack. Every time he goes everywhere, it's like via and Antipodes. And it's like, what?
Oh, okay.
He works in the UK and he has to travel around quite a lot, but every time he has to go anywhere, he just has like the most crazy route. Like we were both coming back from India to New Zealand one time, and it was cheaper for him to go via the UK. I'm like,
Wow.
whatever way you cut that makes no sense at all.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I fully hear the flight emissions and the scale of it. And international and flight emissions is one of those like grey areas where like all the countries don't fully account it because it's kind of in public territory. It's kind of like we'll account for some of it, but not all of it. Who accounts for this?
Yeah.
And I think it is really a big piece of the puzzle, especially in an interconnected and globalized world. It's like how do we maintain that connectedness but also change or like the impact of it?
Yeah. Less travel and more meaningful travel.
I think that's a good
Yeah,
point. Absolutely.
Well put.
That's a really good point. So
that on a
after you
t-shirt.
guys been traveling, and did you guys came back and based in Aotearoa and started building your careers? Did you both go straight to uni after that, or did you go to uni beforehand?
Okay. I actually originally studied film and television production. I've had a few kind of twists and turns.
I love the many feathers in your hat. That's perfect. Absolutely.
Did that, then I did the overseas thing, then did the tour guiding,
Okay.
then did the Masters of Environmental Studies,
Wow.
and then kind of circled back around to film and television production, working in sustainability in it, and then into government and was at MFE for a while, and now local government at Upper Hutt.
Wow.
And that's my life story in a nutshell.
Wow, I love those chapters. Those are so many fascinating skill sets and perspectives to have, especially in a climate context. Like the film and communication angle is like such a relevant piece of climate and how do we communicate any of these things and what lenses and what values do we construct all of these ideas with is like a really big part of the corridor. My wife has done her studies in media studies and I did mine in climate studies, and the combination of our worlds is a really interesting interface of how do they impact each other. I think social media is another interesting example of that, both in the enormous rallying potential, but also the potential risks of misinformation and misguidance or like hysteria. I think
Yeah.
we've had a
Yeah.
couple of incidences with the storm recently and Cyclone Gabriel where all those communication frameworks have kind of really kind of bubbled up, especially in a post-COVID context where everyone's kind of unsure about an emergency state, I think.
It's very, very powerful and very dangerous, I think, as
Absolutely.
well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. What about your studies?
So I met you at Oscar at university.
We go way back.
We go way back. So yeah, when I got back from my last trip and kind of thought, okay, time to do something different. And so I went to university at Vic in Wellington and did development studies and environmental studies, which was quite a nice combination of like the natural processes and also the development studies side of like how that intersects with people and how people play a role in influencing and being influenced by our environment.
Yeah, and then like co-creation of space.
Yeah.
And international aid frameworks.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Actually, on that, one of my last papers I did was around, it kind of touched on international aid and supporting maybe in countries that are more developing. And I kind of went into that paper thinking, where are the opportunities to support or create better outcomes? And then I left kind of thinking, actually, sometimes we just need to get out of the way. And like you go in thinking one thing and you realize actually sometimes your intentions, rather than coming thinking you have the solution, the listening and the learning from other people is where the power and the magic happens, and the better long-term outcomes. So that was like a real whirlwind paper where I was like, okay, everything I learned now unlearn and just stop.
I think those are really important moments to just like take stock of the moment, and like I think in a lot of contexts that like that moment just to take stock is super important.
Yeah, and I think that definitely comes through. So after study, I kind of went into local government straight away. So I spent 5 years at Kapiti Coast District Council and did a few different roles there. And then came to Hutt City Council just about 2 years ago. And been working in climate change there since then. But it definitely comes through. Like councils are, we offer so many different services. Some of them are like legislated. We have to by law offer certain things, and then other things are around creating well-being and good communities to live in, places for people to thrive. And
or creating places to access information, or like those distribution networks.
And so that intersection with like where climate change sits within that is like really interesting. Sometimes it's about learning what your community is all about and what they need and where those opportunities are specifically for us, even between Lower Hutt and Upper Hutt. You know, Lower Hutt has an ocean, it has a sea, and Upper Hutt doesn't. It's got the river that centres it, and
the mountains.
So that shapes different communities and different outcomes and opportunities. So.
That's so interesting. I think there's a lot of really amazing content that you just said there. I think one of the things that you said earlier was like we need to get out of our own way in a lot of ways. I think that's really true on like a lot of different scales. Like on a personal scale, we need to like not doubt ourselves as much and like connect and trust each other more, you know. And then on like we need to trust the nature-based solutions route to like let nature do what it's going to do and get out of that way. And then on like a political sense and like a social sense to kind of support everybody as we move forward and as we identify those priorities. That's so cool. I'm so stoked that you guys are involved in our climate effort and on the front line of our climate effort, because you guys have amazing skill sets that you both bring to this team. So do you guys want to talk to some of your mahi now?
Sure. So for myself at Hutt City Council, I'm part of a small team that works in climate change. And for our council, we've had a really strong focus on emissions reduction, also mitigation, kind of, I don't know if some of your listeners, so climate change is often broken into these kind of two overarching areas. So you got adaptation and mitigation. Mitigation's all about trying to reduce emissions, and the way I liken it is kind of like in when you're sick, you have symptoms and you have a cause, and so climate change is maybe like a sickness for the world, and at the moment we're trying to focus on treating some of the cause of that sickness, and then later down the track we're looking at kind of how we can treat some of those symptoms as well, because you kind of need to treat both, but you can't spend all your time treating the symptom and not addressing the cause, or you'll not get anywhere.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what I do, is looking at opportunities to reduce emissions, and some of that is within our own council, like thinking about how we run our organisation like a company, how we manage our fleet, the energy our buildings use, things like that, the contracts that we put out for other companies to support us with delivering our work, the roads we build, but then also that's supporting our city as wider, helping them access information, or in some cases funding. We have a fund that's about supporting climate change work.
For emissions reduction?
For emissions reduction.
Oh, cool.
And so, yes, also helping our city in the work that they do, because council doesn't control everything in the city. There's a whole thriving world out there that our city is, doing all on its own. So.
Absolutely, and decision making is based on so many links in the chain. I think City Council plays a really important role in kind of connecting those links in the chain. It sounds like a lot of your mahi is like benefiting the city and helping communicate through the city, helping everyone minimize their emissions. That's amazing mahi. For the fund that you mentioned, is that like for businesses, or is that for like individuals who have an idea, or is that like
so the fund, we actually have two funds.
Okay.
There's one that I look after personally, and so that fund is for legal entities. So you could be a business, a trust, an incorporated society. You just have to be like a registered legal entity. And that is 50% funding. So the idea is that we give you a little bit, and it's for those projects that maybe are like, you want to do, you've got some commitment to doing, but maybe it's a little bit too expensive or a bit risky, and you can't quite get it over the line or make that commitment. And so the idea is that we will fund half your project and you fund the other, or find funding from somewhere else to get the other half of the funding, to help get it over the line. And the criteria is just that it has to be happening in Lower Hutt, and it has to reduce emissions in like a permanent way. So not
so longer term gaze.
Longer term,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
and that it's you're a legal entity. So
That's
pretty
amazing.
straightforward.
For any of our listeners who are thinking of applying for that fund, definitely check that out. Would highly recommend. That's awesome. And what about your mahi, Melanie?
Yeah, so our Hutt City Council, I've been there just over 2 months, so still kind of getting my head around everything. We are smaller in people and resources, but also in problems in terms of climate impacts, I think.
Okay.
So there's pros and cons.
Interesting. That's so interesting that even within a relatively close spatial area, there's like kind of two different problems to solve.
Yeah. Some similarities and some differences. Yeah, even within smaller scales, like one street to the next street, there'll be differences, I guess, in terms of where the flood risk will be and things. But because we're further up the valley, we tend to get less flood risk, a little bit from the river, sort of closer in, but a lot less than a lot of other places. So it's a good spot to be, I think. Everyone moved up a hut.
Plugging it.
Head to the Hutt. Head
The
to
city
the
of the
Hutt.
future.
Absolutely.
But yeah, because I'm the sustainability and waste team lead. We're a tiny team of 2. So,
You guys have got your work cut out for you, for sure. Absolutely.
yeah,
No
and
biggie,
covering
just
waste
solving
as well.
climate change and waste.
Yeah, so it's a huge scope and it's a lot to cover, but it's been really fun. We've been more, we've been more focused on the waste side of things, because that's where we have some funding from the waste levy that we can do more things with. So we're doing compost month all through
Excellent.
May. So depending
Super
on when you
important.
listen, you might not have missed it, hopefully. There's these events all May that are promoting composting. We've got about 8 or 9 workshops on, and we've got discounts for compost systems from Mitre 10. You can get $40 off if you come to any workshops.
Everyone needs to get involved with composting. It's got so many benefits for so many different things, and turns over so many different things, and turns waste into products that we can actually use like this, and it produces heat. Like, for those of you who don't know anything about compost, go learn stuff about compost, because it's really important. And I think that within composting there's ways that we could solve a lot of different issues. Like, if we did national scale composting, then we wouldn't need to import fertilizers, because we could just sort out our agriculture internally.
Yeah, have organic fertilizers.
Absolutely.
And for emissions. So Hutt City Council looks after the Silverstream landfill, which receives waste from Upper Hutt and Lower Hutt residents.
Thank you for that.
And
Excellent.
no problem, no biggie.
Shout out to the waste collection teams out there. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. But so for the Hutt City Council, their business footprint, the largest part of that footprint, largest part of those emissions come from our landfill. And the things that create emissions in our landfill are things that create predominantly methane, so organic materials, right? So the more stuff that can be composted instead of put into landfill, the better outcomes we have for emissions, but also, like you guys were alluding to, lots of other great benefits, like creating good soil and a better cycle for our waste products from food, which
Absolutely.
I'm not an expert in composting.
That's
Back
a
to
deep
Melanie.
topic.
I'm not either, but I've been learning a lot.
Yeah.
Organic waste is a quarter of the material going to landfill in the Wellington region. It's a quarter of it is organic that could be composted. So that's huge.
That's a lot. It's
That's
a lot
massive.
of energy and process that's going to happen anyway that we're kind of missing out on,
Yeah. So and that whole cycle, right? So a quarter, that's like a quarter less weight in a truck that has to drive around and be collected, which is emissions that, from the fuel that those trucks might consume, and then a quarter less waste that has to be managed at the landfill site. And then once it breaks down, that's all the emissions that would have come from that, won't be there anymore. So outcomes are great across the board.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and takes up a lot of landfill space as well. And then eventually, if they fill up and you have to have new landfills and then find someone's backyard to put a landfill in, no one wants that. If we can reduce it by a quarter, and because so much waste is from the construction industry, so in terms of a household, organic waste is probably more like half of your waste. You can reduce it a lot by composting.
I feel like that's composting is one of those systems that we can employ that will just a lot of people already have kitchen waste, they already have all these things lined up, and if we put them in the same place and get the composting going and getting it turning over, and a culture of composting, then that's a system that will just keep rolling over,
And then you can grow such good food and good
absolutely.
plants out of the compost.
Plants
Compost is the
love it.
medicine for everything.
Absolutely.
That can be wrong with your soil.
Absolutely. Compost goes a long way, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
I heard someone say the other day, and I haven't fact checked this, so maybe it's a bad thing to say on the radio, but I heard someone say, who seemed to know what he's talking about, that half a cabbage takes 100 years to break down in a landfill.
Really? Is that just
because there's no oxygen and it's not decomposing properly?
Right,
Wow.
right. I think that's the thing about landfills is that all the rubbish is mixed together, so all of their decomposition rates are competing with each other, as opposed to if you chuck it all in a compost and get them all to decompose on a similar schedule.
Yeah, and then it's either weeks or months,
Yeah,
depending on what
yeah.
kind of compost you do.
Yeah. I think that's also a system that's it's way harder to go back through the landfill and separate the bio waste from the chemical and plastic waste, but it's way easier to do at earlier in the process when we chuck out the waste. We can chuck it into those 4 bins. I'm very curious, how did you get a personal scale 4-bin system? Because it does take kind of management, and not only a 4-stage waste management at home I would understand a little bit more of, but to commute on a ferry
On a
and bus is next level. I think we all need to start thinking like that,
Well, ideally we'll make less waste to start with.
That's a good point.
Than needing all the different bin. Still have all the different bin systems, but the
We need
intention
both
on
of
having
those
less
things.
waste
Absolutely.
to start with. So the probably more important part was every time, because all the rubbish on the tour bus, all the rubbish is basically coffee cups or food containers. And so if you just have a system where if you go to a cafe, you're going to be there long enough to drink a coffee, and that's the rule that I would run my trips by. And so there
That's
was
a
no
good
coffee
rule.
cups allowed.
Yeah. Only have in
great.
coffees.
That's
I
the
love
best
that.
solution.
I love that. Everything happens in a cafe.
Everything good.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to work at a cafe, and like the people watching opportunity was fascinating. Like relationships would start and break, deals would be done,
yeah.
like things would happen in cafes. You know, people meet for the first time or continue that relationship.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. I think that's super important. I think we need to waste manage better on so many levels. I think there's also scope to include like circular waste management into our approaches, that like the more we do this, the more benefits we get out of it. I think compost is a great example of that.
It is, yeah.
I think there are other ways we could imagine that as well. Like
Yeah.
how could we process our waste in a way that gives us more resources to use later? Like tires, I think, are a big one that we could reuse.
That's happening. There's the new tyre product stewardship scheme.
Okay.
And there's places around the country. I don't think there's any in the Hutt Valley, but we'll
Coming to a town near you.
Yeah, we'll give it a look into. There's lots of recycling stations around the country where you can drop off your tyres and they get sent back to the manufacturer, who do something with them
Yeah.
to
They're really
break them down and
versatile on a lot of
make them
different
up again or
levels.
something.
Yeah, you can break them down and rebuild them, or you can. I was volunteering at an eco house in France, and they built their whole house on a like eco ethos, and they had like tire foundations. So like the bottom of their house, we had like stacks of 4 to 8 tires, depending on how big it was. We just filled all the tires with gravel, and that was enough to like carry the whole house. They like way over engineered it, but like as a process, it's like there's so many different uses for tires. Plus like shredding them and using them for roading and all the other things. But I think that's the sort of thing that's like if it is going to be part of the systems moving forward, like if we're still going to have electric cars, then we're still going to have tires. You know, I think like having places to put those that we can actually use rather than just like chuck in the landfill and like someone else can deal with it. Or like
Yeah.
time.
And that's a real good one as well, because it's putting the responsibility on the manufacturer to have a thing for it to go to at the end of life as well.
Yeah.
And that's how we need to design everything.
Absolutely. I saw Coke just recently set out we'll shred the bottles and like remake all of the bottles with recycled other bottles. I was like, love that. Pretty late in the piece, but love that.
I think Coke has bigger issues.
I think if they can do stuff like that, and like if the corporates can start to take responsibility like that and like put out the infrastructure for us to help sort out all of our rubbish systems, I think it's between all of those scales that we need to cooperate, not just at the corporate or just at the individual or just at the council. It's how do we like link
Everyone.
all of these?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we're probably running out of time, so I've got to ask you a question.
Well, we need like a 3-hour.
I know.
Yeah.
There's
We
so
couldn't
many
get anywhere
things
with that.
we need to keep chatting about. Absolutely, absolutely. And there's so much more I'd love to keep chatting to you about. And we'd love to have you back on the podcast if you guys are interested. We'd be so keen.
We could do regular updates. What's happening?
Absolutely.
I don't even talk about what else we're doing. We also
we
have
can-
a
we've got
grant.
time.
Come to our website.
Excellent. What grants
See
do you
what's
have?
going on. There's a grant.
Is that for the waste scheme, or is that for composting, or is that?
There's an environment and waste minimisation grant.
Okay.
Which is you'll find on the website now, and we're looking to do a new grant. Stay tuned,
Okay.
bigger and better.
Heard it
Okay.
here first.
Okay. Absolutely. Heard it here first. Absolutely.
Yeah, not there yet, but
Is there?
stay tuned.
What sort of applicants are you looking for that grant? Like, is there individuals looking to make action, or is that
Yeah,
businesses
individuals,
or
community groups,
community groups?
schools.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Great. And is there like they apply for that fund, and then is that a similar model that you guys kind of co-build the project together, or is that more funding to let the community build it? Or?
It's how's it gone so far? I think depending on who it is in the project, you apply for the money, and usually it's quite small amounts, and we can just hand it over.
Great.
You don't have to. Yeah.
Excellent. So if there's anyone who's got ideas for projects, please send them through. There's places to apply for them, and people out there in the community who are keen to support the development of those projects. I think that's great that you guys are doing the mahi that you guys are doing, I think we definitely need more people on the climate frontier for sure. And it's amazing that you guys are applying all the different lenses and your skill sets to the climate question. I think that's kind of how we kind of all need to operate in the climate. It's like whatever we do, whatever angle and expertise and skill sets we've got, do that in a climate conscious way, you know?
Yeah, how does that contribute to the world we want?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And there's heaps of other cool stuff to get involved with as well. There's Forest and Bird do all their great planting and trapping and everything.
Yeah.
There's repair cafes, going back to the waste and the keeping things
If it was up to
in
me,
circulation.
repair cafes would be like part of the curriculum, you know? Like
Yeah.
all 16 plus students need 100 hours at the repair cafe.
Yes, I vote for you.
If I was me, I'd probably do things differently. I don't know.
I love it.
It's a great idea.
Those things thinking about how long will this be able to last? Is it able to be repaired if it breaks or when it breaks? Is it recyclable? Can it fully be broken down? Like, will it fully be in part of a circular cycle, or is it something that kind of reaches an end point quickly and then it has to be landfilled? Like, what's
Yeah.
the destination of this thing? But ask yourself that on the shelf when you're picking it up from the shelf rather than, you know, later down the track.
Yeah,
That could be
absolutely.
helpful screening question for you all.
Absolutely. I think that's a super important thing to keep in mind while shopping. Like, do I actually need it, or I don't actually need that? And kind of prevent all those preventative processes. I think that's also really interesting in terms of the last, like, it's one of the things that's changed really quickly in the past, like, 80 to 100 years. Is like, the quality things are built with, and then B, the amount of skill sets we have to be able to, like, repair it or build it again or make it again. Like, I think in our grandparents' generation, that was like way more widespread, way more common, those skill sets. But like as things have accelerated and things get more mass produced and industrialized and like not made to last, like people are, I think, are also, how do we fix those things? Like, it's getting more and more specialized. Like, I wouldn't know how to fix my iPhone if it collapsed or did anything. I'd be like, please help, please. I think there's so many parts about our world that are like that.
Yeah, and we need the regulation, to keep them in check.
Absolutely.
All these big companies making things to break and to buy new ones, and all of that is made out of materials from the earth.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's where like government and policy can really come in, is to like make those precedents, like build those eco-conscious decision making into policy and process. Like if you're a construction company, this is your waste management process. Take all of these and follow the flow chart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and governments will only do it if they're told to many times by the people.
That's true. That's true. I think there was a lot of social momentum growing, and hopefully we can kind of channel it in that direction. Because I think when it comes to climate, it's going to impact all of us for sure. And it's only between all of us that I think we have all of the tools and skills that we need to respond to it. I don't think we can do it alone, but between us, we have all the tools and skills we need, for sure.
Yes.
And if you guys are interested in adding your voice and talents and skills to the climate mahi, haere mai, we desperately need you. Whatever you do, do that. And we've got one last question for you guys. All right. Which one is this? So this is a question from our previous guest. All right. I think you can both answer this and you both get a question later. So what lesson would you pass on to your younger self given the experience you have now? Whew. Great question.
Ooh.
It sounds like you
That's
guys have
really epic.
Yeah.
sounds like you guys have played your
Just an
cards
easy
pretty well,
one.
to be honest. Keep going traveling, I think.
Yeah.
Would be my advice to my little.
But conscientiously.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. It's tricky. I'm sure I'll think of a better one once I leave, but I would say always be curious. Never be afraid to ask or question things. Just because something is the way that it is doesn't mean that it needs to be that way. And it's amazing what you'll learn if you just say, oh, really? And why is that? And it can take you on a journey of infinite possibilities and amazing discoveries. So even if you're young or you know nothing about a topic, never be afraid to question anything, because it can have amazing outcomes.
I fully resonate to that, and I would highly recommend that as well. Like, stay curious, stay open-minded. You're not expected to know everything, but it's only through that curiosity and knowing what you do know and knowing what you don't know that you can keep being curious and keep growing. I think that's a constant learning curve, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one. I think being intentional about getting outside your comfort zone, or like recognizing if something is a bit scary and making that a thing to do because it's scary, or
I love that approach
That's
as well. Like, I think that is like it's on the edge of your comfort zone that is the growth space, right? Every time I've tried to do anything, I've tried to almost have one foot in the comfort zone and one foot out the comfort zone
Yeah.
to try to just shimmy forward.
yeah get out there.
Absolutely. I think especially in terms of climate mahi, like, get out there is the biggest thing. Like, you don't have to know all the answers, but you're going to meet other people and other collaborators in the community who are all so like-minded and keen to think about it as well. So, I think staying open-minded and, like, let yourself learn through the process, I think, is really good advice. I'll give you guys some time to think of a question you guys can both ask our next guest. They get 2 questions. But if is there anything else you guys would like to say while we've got the mics?
I think just if you are interested in climate change work yourself, or if you have questions, or you're curious about the topic, or you don't know anything, visit our website. We've got lots of information about sort of Climate Change 101. We've got information about our grants. We're always looking for new and exciting or interesting projects for our grants. You know, it's amazing when we get to see money go out to our residents and help them, support them on their journey, because council can't do it all, right? So it's all about like empowering you guys as well.
Absolutely. And sharing those resources.
Also, just always keen for a kōrero. So if you've got questions about what I do or what we're doing at Hutt City, feel free to get in touch.
I think that's great advice. And is there any last words you'd like to share, Melanie?
Just tautoko that. We're very approachable, I think, and very keen to chat. So, do get in touch if you want to talk about anything, if you have any ideas. And otherwise, just to, I guess, emphasise we live in such a beautiful place and there's such beautiful bush around and amazing birds around, and just enjoy it and connect to it and spend time in the environment. And that's where all of this comes from, I guess, is that the love of that.
Awesome. Well, kia ora e hoa kōrua. Thank you so much for your time today. And if any of you are thinking of getting involved in the climate mahi, please feel free to check out their websites, check out their resources, ask the questions, get in touch. We're all in this together, and we're really keen to collaborate with you guys. So we'll be keen to read your comments in the comments. We look forward to keeping in touch. Ka kite.